Hello, beautiful people, and welcome to BipolarLines, your lifeline for honest, unfiltered conversations about loving someone with bipolar disorder. I'm Brooke, and today I am doing this podcast solo, but with a guest that'll be coming on here in just a minute. If you're new here, please let us know if you like our podcast and our show. If it speaks to you, subscribe, follow, like us on whatever platform that you're listening to us on or watching us if you like to watch podcasts on, let's say, YouTube. We are there. Anyway, we also have a Facebook group that you can join. It's called BipolarLines Pod, and you can post anonymously. It's a private group, so nobody's going to see it, which is just a great place for people to come and share their experiences or ask for recommendations or, talk through certain situations. So that is also there. Before we dive in, Laura's not here. She had some exciting birthday activities for her daughter. So she's resting and wasn't able to record. We had weekend activities, so that didn't work. So it is Monday night, and I'm recording to get this out to you all. So yeah, we're going to dive in with a guest in just a minute. All right, so we are here with a special guest, repeat guest, my husband, Jeremy.
Hey guys.
So thank you for hopping on and recording with me. It's so much easier to record with two people than just staring at myself in the screen. So,
well, I mean, you gave me a long heads up to prepare, so I mean,
yeah,
really,
good.
it was at least like 35 seconds.
It's long enough, right?
Yeah.
All right, but no, we're going to keep this episode targeted to a specific conversation around medication management, and I thought it'd be great for the listeners to hear your perspective about what that looks like for you and your experience around medication management for bipolar disorder.
Okay.
Sound good?
Fair enough. Yeah.
Okay.
Fair enough.
All right. So, as you know, the common conversation around medication is this. People are told, well, just be prepared because the person who has the bipolar diagnosis is going to just stop their meds or come off their meds. So just, pay attention to that, right? How does hearing that make you feel?
So, first of all, I'll address from the caregiver standpoint. That's a legitimate concern. And it is something that they need to keep eyes on. In my experience and with people with the same diagnosis that I've been around and talked to, it is highly likely. And I think to get the, not the elephant out of the ring, but basically to make my main point right out of the gate is a lot of these medications are long acting or have a long half life. Not all of them do.
Right.
But if I miss my meds for 2 days, and let's say I'm in a baseline mode, if I miss my meds for 2 days, I'm not going to see a difference. Okay, so then that leads to day 3, and then now day 3, some of those meds start getting out of my system.
Mm-hmm.
Now I run the risk of becoming manic or getting depressed.
Right.
And now those moods or those cycles or those phases start dictating what I do. So now you might become defiant, maybe if you're depressed and you don't want to take them, or you become manic and develop sort of a godlike complex that you don't need them. So I think it starts innocently enough, but I think the disorder in its own cruel way starts feeding that thought of let's don't take our meds.
Yeah. So, and it starts for you, like you mentioned day 2 and day 3. So day 2, you've not taken the meds and you don't feel any different, right? So that then starts this mindset of, well, I don't need them. If I'm not feeling any different, then I don't need them. Is that true?
Right. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. And now, I will say to a degree, I think not to negate what you said, but I think to a degree, we need to acknowledge the fact that the efficacy of your medicine stack plays a big role into this. So if you only
Sure.
get a minor bump or a medium bump out of it, it's going to be easier to come off of it. If you get a more, if you get a higher level of support through your meds, it's less likely you're going to come off of them because you will notice a bigger difference.
Okay. Well, and let's be fair, we're talking from your perspective with having a bipolar 1 diagnosis. We can't speak to
Yes.
BP2, specifically just your experience there.
And that's a good point, but think of it this way. Say you have a real major ache in your shoulder for a few days
Mm-hmm.
and you're taking a few Advil. Okay. If those Advil are giving you relief, you're more apt to take. If you're taking the Advil and you're not seeing results after 2 days, you're less likely to continue taking. So that's what I was saying is the efficacy of the drug and how well
Mm-hmm.
it works for you does
Mm-hmm.
play a role in how likely you are to continue or discontinue. At
Yes.
least from my experience.
Right. You're also incredibly self aware. There are a lot of listeners whose spouses, partners, loved ones may not be as self aware to identify that bump that you speak of. Even though it's a internal radar, right? Like sometimes it's just harder for people to identify how they're feeling and or associate it with the illness, right? So who knows? I just don't want to make the blanket statement that like overall this is how it works, but from your experience, that's how it's been for you.
But I'll also concede that that's also the experience that I've learned from a lot of other people.
Okay. Okay.
And let me be clear, I'm not pushing back on you, but I've had
I mean, you
friends
are,
and
which
I've
is
had,
fine.
well, I've had friends and I've had associates or people I've been in facilities with be like, I just quit because it wasn't really doing anything. And then I've had others that be like, there's no way I wouldn't take my meds because of how it makes me feel. So that's why I'm drawing a correlation in the efficacy of the drug that it
Mm-hmm.
could be an indicator if somebody stops taking it, that maybe
Mm-hmm.
it's not doing what it could be doing.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Fair. That's fair. I guess we should also identify where you are currently in your mood state. Are you at baseline?
I would say in a positive way, I'm better than what my baseline was. So not that I'm better than baseline trending toward mania. I really feel like honestly in the last 4.5, 5 weeks, due to a new medication, I have reached a new baseline.
So the floor of your baseline has been elevated from where it
Yes.
used to be.
So this is a great example, Brooke. You led right into what I was talking about. The way that my medicine affects me now and what it's shown me life can be,
Mm-hmm.
that efficacy makes me want to make sure I'm taking those meds. Like I truly believe at the moment that could change depending with the disorder, but at current time, I believe wholeheartedly I need that medication to feel how I feel. So therefore, I'm most likely to take it versus my old medicine stack that was kind of, it's all right. But it was easy to justify or shuffle away that medication and say, well, it wasn't doing that much anyway.
Okay, let's dive into that because yeah, I think that's super important. Do you remember when we were at the hospital after what happened on August 31st? Okay.
Okay.
When we were talking about your meds, and we kept
Yeah.
saying, we, being myself and your therapist, kept saying, we just need to get your meds. You need to get you back on your meds. Do you
Right.
remember what you said to me?
I don't.
Okay. You just looked at me and you're like, the meds aren't helping. The meds aren't going to work, right? It's not about the meds. This wasn't about the meds, right? And so I'm like, well, hold on, because essentially you just threw baby out with the bathwater in that
Sure.
statement. That's how it had been justified. You were not a baseline at this point, so that's fair, right? But in
Right.
your words to me, it was they're not working. So essentially, the meds wouldn't help. So restarting your meds at that point wouldn't help, is what you were saying. And I said, wait. You yourself, acknowledged and identified that if you don't take certain medications, you're more irritable, you're more easily agitated, you have no patience. And you were like, yeah, that's true, right? So we kind of went through this whole just dissected the meds and what they're supposed to do, and we got to the point of, well, let's talk about your depression meds. I'm like, so what's missing? What is not working? And you said the meds for depression. So it was in that conversation that you and I were like, okay, so we need to go back to the doctor and talk to them about a different medication or a new medication to help with raising the floor of where you stayed from a depression perspective, right?
Yeah.
Do you remember that?
I,
Kind
I
of.
do remember some of that conversation. Yes.
Okay. So it was after that and after inpatient. You were in inpatient when you found this medication, right? You saw an advertisement
Sure.
for it on TV.
Well, yeah, yeah. Well, I'll get to that in a minute. So,
Okay, well, no, you can take it from here. That's fine. I was just trying to set the
well,
stage for how we ended up with this
yes.
new medication.
So I want to back up a step. You literally just described a real life event that perfectly encapsulated what I was just saying.
Mm-hmm.
Um, yeah. So the way it came about was at some point, well before August 31st, I developed COVID and it was manifesting in my stomach. And I didn't want to further exacerbate my stomach symptoms by putting some of the meds that are sometimes harsh on my stomach on it.
Mm-hmm.
So I had COVID for 4 or 5 days, whatever it was. And at the end of 4 or 5 days, I'm like, there's a marginal difference. So why start again? So that goes to your point, or to the point we're both making, of if you don't believe in the efficacy of the drug, you're more likely to stop it.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, now go closer to the time you're talking about. It's funny. I've seen ads for a certain medication numerous times in the past, and I've always tried to put a flag in my head of I need to ask, I need to ask, I need to ask. But I always forgot because it would be a month, 3 months between psych appointments. The only silver lining that came out of that hospitalization, because there was no programming, we could do a whole segment on my experience there, and I'd love to do it. I would
Yeah.
love to do a hospitalization gone wrong episode. But
Okay.
anyway, left to my own devices, I watched movies on FX the entire day, every day for 5 days. And intermittently, pretty much every commercial break, there was an advertisement for this medication that I thought about asking for. So immediately when I came out, I had an appointment with my GP, and I didn't know when I was going to have an appointment with my psychiatrist. So I asked my general physician about this medication. So we made a swap, this medication for another one I was on that should be similar. And ladies and gentlemen, I'm not here to advocate for a medicine, and I will not name it because I don't want to give false hope. But I will tell you, there is 1,000% difference in me.
Mm-hmm.
And that tells me if your meds aren't scratching that itch, there might well be a medicine that will scratch that itch. Don't settle for med. I had always settled for med, whether it was lithium, whether it was this, whether it was that. I thought, well, this is marginally better. I guess that's as good as it's going to get.
Yeah.
But I found, and as I've told you, Brooke, before, in the last few weeks, since at least I was 15, I now feel like what you get to feel like, what you've always got to feel like. My head's
Mm.
clearer. I don't have racing thoughts. I don't have intrusive thoughts. I'm positive. I'm more productive. So
Which is
before we get
incredible.
on down the line of continuing and not continuing meds, I do want to encourage
Yeah.
people to not settle for mediocre or marginal improvement.
Yeah. Understand that there are other options out there. Don't, well, maybe not even that. Maybe it's a conversation of, I mean, we've been saying it all along. We just didn't know it was, how do we even say that? Like, let me back up and edit
Hey,
this out because, yeah,
hey, let's be real for a minute. What's making you teary?
you,
Let's just be honest with everybody.
you being good and talking about it. it's, it's awesome.
Hey, you're gonna make me cry. That's all you get. 10
Okay.
seconds. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm gonna take this over for a second. This lady in front of you has worked her ass off for me. She has rode the hardest roads on the shittiest vehicles just to get me across the finish line. She could not be any more of a savior, any more of an advocate. And what you are seeing out of her is genuine relief because there are signs that we are actually getting to the other side. And it's important that you see this.
Yeah.
That's why I told her just now to leave it in. They need to see your tears. They need to see what joy looks like.
They've
They
seen
need
my
to see that,
tears.
yes, things are real.
Yeah.
But
No, you're right.
this is the woman that has worked so hard to do everything and be by my side. And ladies and gentlemen, it's not a put on. It is 1,000% her heart and soul. That is why I'm here.
Oh, so sweet. You've also worked your ass off. It's not just me. You've also done a lot of work. So, I mean, I think
I have,
we've done
but
a lot of work.
it's one of those weird things when you're in control of it, like I am, and you're doing stuff. It's different than when you're working in the blind.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, you've been busting your ass over something you can't control. You just
Yeah.
had blind faith it would work out.
Yeah. Just move the bar. Just move the bar.
So anyway, yeah, we got off subject, but I think it's important everybody sees what relief looks like.
Yeah. You are correct. I mean, they've definitely seen my tears, or heard them, one of the two. But yeah. Uh, and I wasn't even expecting to get teary on this episode, sir. Here we are, because it's real life. But I mean, I could easily go back in time and just listen to, the prior episode, and you've always been well spoken. You've always been self aware. None of that's changing. It's literally just the relief that you feel. It's how you're speaking to it. It's how we interact. It's how confident you've been. The joy you seem to be experiencing, the laughter. It's so many things that have come back. And it's also scary, but I'll explain that in a minute. To go back to the conversation about meds, what I was trying to say earlier is something that we've said often, which is like, you don't have to live in this space where you're just existing. You can
Yeah.
move to a space of living, right? What I didn't know and what you didn't know was that this level of living was attainable for you.
Yeah. So yes, that's exactly what I was about to jump in and say. So you talk about you don't have to just exist, but I'll be honest with you. And this is one of those areas, as much as you've studied and stuff, you can't know this.
No.
It's impossible for you to know this. Just existing seems like Mecca, seems like Valhalla, seems
Yeah.
like heaven, seems like glory. Um, when you have been where you've been.
Right.
So honestly, and audience, I'm not sure how to frame this super optimistically because what I'm about to say is going to sound more like scratching a lottery ticket. But until I found this combination of medicine, I didn't know I could feel like this again.
Right. Right. That's what I'm saying.
You know, that's an interesting thought exercise, isn't it, Brooke? That you could be thinking life's good enough and not even know to ask for a different med. And I want to be cautious. Me and Brooke, and I know Brooke's talked about this on here before. I want to be cautious that people don't get over medicated.
Yeah,
I'm
for
more of an
sure.
advocated. I'm more of an advocate for swapping out meds and doing not adding on. But
Or,
yeah, in
titrating
that,
down and,
yeah,
adding a shift. But yeah, we don't want to be over medicated. We've been
but
on
yeah.
that road
So
as
isn't
well.
that interesting that you can sit and be on meds and do the therapy and think you're doing what you should do, and unless you actually are able to walk through that door of a new medication and feel the feelings, you don't even know that's possible.
Yeah. And I think it's also interesting that at no point in time did the psychiatrist say, hey, in the last however many months or whatever that I've seen you, you still seem to be existing on this place of, or trending more towards depression. What if we did XYZ? Now, we could talk for a long time about how you're a high risk individual and your psychiatrist does not want to, mess with meds or do one, only wants to do one at a time. Yeah, we could talk about that. But the
Right.
point is, like, you have to be your own advocate here. The only
Right.
reason you are where you are is from, in my opinion, that's my perspective. You may have a different opinion, but like from the conversation we had in the hospital before you went inpatient was, okay, we need to go back and talk about another medication to help raise the floor of your depression. And then you found this medication and you asked for it and you didn't even ask your psychiatrist, you asked your GP. So you advocated for yourself because you knew that's what you needed. Like you knew we needed to address the depression part more.
Right. I'm trying to think of a good analogy because I could really dovetail with where you are and drive this point home from a perspective also that you're not looking at. So I'm going to start and hopefully I
Okay,
find it,
that's fine.
but I do have a starting point. So imagine you're me, right? And you're 7 years, 6 years on this journey. You've tried X, you've tried Y, you've tried Z, you've tried D, you've tried F, you've tried one, two, three, four. You've been on 10 at a time, you've been on two at a time, right? For one, that gets tiresome because you're always adjusting. And then for two, you know that this mix doesn't work and this mix really doesn't work. And finally you find the middle ground and you're like, you know what? I'm gonna quit just pissing in everybody's Cheerios and I'm just gonna take good enough. And then you want more, you know you need more. But then you go and you sit in front of your psychiatrist who has really worked their butt off and advocating for you. They've really tried. And it's like telling them about an embarrassing personal, maybe like think bedroom type stuff, um, medical situation. You're more apt to just be like, yeah, I'm good. Yeah, I'm good. This is working. I'm doing fine.
Mm-hmm.
Rather than get
Mm-hmm.
into those. So I take ownership for a lot of my meds being just fine for a year and a half or two. Because what was I telling my psychiatrist? This is working. Because you don't want to be the person that looks like they're drug seeking. You don't want to be the person that looks like they're being unnecessarily unique. There's a plethora of reasons
Mm-hmm.
why you're not going to be as honest as you could. You know, Brooke, I mean, how much about, and I'm not going to get graphic or anything like that, but how much of your personal hygiene or your sexual habits do you actually go into with your OBGYN? Or are you more like, we're going to keep this above board and minimal information, minimal time, and we're out of here?
Yeah, I think it depends on the situation, but for yours, I would say it's just like you're keeping it as surface level as possible.
Because, and also, you know, you're under the false pretenses of something working. You
Yeah,
want it to work. You want it to be
right.
right, and you want to quit switching everything.
Yeah, I mean, but also you have to take into consideration like the effect, the physical symptoms, side effects that they have on
Yeah,
you, and like, restarting a new medication. What's that going to do? Am I going to be able to get out of bed? Am I? Is it going to make me too so tired I can keep my eyes open? Can I perform my daily
absolutely.
duties? Can I take my kids to school? Can I pick them up? Can I do anything? how long am I going to be out? And is it even worth it? Will it even work? Like there's a lot I know watching you that goes into it. And is it going to mess up my stomach? Is it going to make me throw up? Is it, all the things like there's a
Yeah.
physical
And,
toll that it takes on you.
and good enough or safe. It's really safe. Safe becomes your security blanket.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's like, this may not be the best it could be, but I at least know this dance.
Yeah. And that's coming from you who tends to lean more towards the depressive side. So if you put yourself in the shoes of someone who maybe leans more manic or hypomanic, what is your opinion on medication if you're in that mindset?
That goes one. Well, first of all, let me state it's been my experience and my understanding of experience from others. Keep in mind, I've been around a lot of people like me, had a
Sure.
lot of in depth conversation. It's my understanding from my experience and those folks that medication is the first thing to go out the window in a really good, super manic mode.
Yeah.
Because
Good was in quotes
typically
for
a
those of you who can't
mania,
watch.
huh?
I said good was in quotations for those of you who aren't watching.
Yeah, I just mean a real strong manic episode. Even
Yeah.
from the outset, medicine is out the window because it's almost an immediate God complex. I don't care what your manic hang up is.
Right.
You believe you're solid. You believe you're fine when you're manic. And I'm pretty sure that goes for 95% of people with bipolar 1 disorder.
Yeah.
I don't think there are very many people that get manic and think they're shitty people.
Right. Yeah. I would
So,
agree.
yeah, yeah. So to your point, trending toward depression, in my experience, your thought is, it ain't gonna do anything for me. The manic standpoint becomes, I don't need it, and probably leading into where you're going. So, what does that mean for the caretaker? What does that mean
Mhm.
for the loved ones? I think the most effective things that Brooke has done for me is not on the gross level, or the macro level of, here are these big things you're doing. Here are these big things that aren't going. It's more like, you said this to me, or you've been doing this more, or this looks different. You know, it's starting those small conversations instead of like a macro beating it over the head with a sledgehammer.
Yeah.
Um, and I don't, bro. I wish I had an answer, but I don't know what the magic combination of words are to get somebody in a real solid manic episode to take a hard self look and say, hey, you're right. I need to get back on my meds.
Yeah. And I don't think there is because it's not going to be the same for every person. That's for sure.
I
So,
mean, the only,
no.
you and I know, and this is medicine in a different sense, but you and I know what works for me is I can feel my mania coming on now. I know how to recognize it.
Yeah.
And instead of, even if I'm off my meds for 5 days, the first step is for me to take my, oh, Brooke,
Antipsychotic.
no, what's the term? PRN.
Oh,
My
yeah.
as
And
needed, my PRN medication to knock me out and disrupt the
mhm.
cycle.
Which is also an antipsychotic.
Yeah. At that point, it's not about getting back on my regular meds. At that point,
Right.
the first step is take your PRN and disrupt
Go
the
to sleep.
cycle.
Yeah. Go to
And I would
sleep.
encourage people to look into that option. A lot of people don't think of it, but I'll
Yeah.
tell you, I'm not a unicorn here. A lot of people can see their mania coming on. In your first 5 to 10 hours of mania, you're changing for the most part, most people. So if
Yeah.
you
In
can
that
catch it,
transition time.
yeah, it, if you can catch it and you truly don't want to be manic, then it's easy to take that option. Like the last 2 or 3 almost manic episodes I've asked Brooke, hey, give me my meds, let's knock me out and disrupt the cycle. And then when I
Mhm.
wake up, I'm reasonable enough to start my meds again.
Yeah. Yep. So, I totally lost my train of thought there, and my nose continues to itch. Okay, so yes, fair points. For the people who maybe are bipolar 2 and maybe their manic episodes seemingly don't feel or don't come on as strong as maybe yours do. I think that's a little bit more difficult to pinpoint. But as we've talked
Yeah, I
about it
agree.
before, some people are good with bringing up these factual observational statements like I have. Hey, I've observed you seem to be doing XYZ more, or I've
Right.
noticed, this is happening. If you keep emotions out of it, it's not, I'm mad at you because you said XYZ to me.
Yeah.
It's never going to work. It's never going to work. It's the observational statements that allow you to weigh in, right? Allow you to say, huh, yeah, that has been happening. And then you just kind of like connect the dots to like, well, that
Yeah.
aren't those things that typically lead into mania for you, lead you to the water kind of conversations.
Yeah. Yeah. So you're right. Emotional judgments or emotional statements don't go anywhere.
Yeah, can't.
They just
They
don't.
don't work. Right.
Um, but to what you're saying, yeah, factual observations are good, but if you can find a way to be stealthy enough. So let's say, Brooke, that you're in or approaching hypomania. All right. And let's say you're like hypoclean. From what I know about me, the way I would handle you in that situation, I'd be like, hey, what are you doing? Trying to win the Olympics and clean? Well, what are you talking about? Well, Lord, you're just blazing a trail here. You kind of come at it from a side angle.
Yeah.
I would say that with the hope that you realize, oh, yeah, I'm in hyperdrive. So, like you're saying, it's like leading the horse to water. Maybe you can make a horse drink, but you can't make a manic person see that they're manic that way.
Right.
So, yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, I think a good piece of advice, you know, for those that are observing different episodes, depressive or um, not, hey, how you feeling? Or, hey,
Right.
you're being different, but call them out in a gentle or fun way of, man, this is your fourth movie today. You running a marathon?
Mm-hmm.
You know, and, just set the tone gently for them to observe their own actions.
Yeah.
Because
But if
what you're
that's
not doing, and hold on, I don't want to lose this thought because I don't think I've
good.
ever had it before, but it's very active. I don't think we observe our own actions very well once we're in a full episode.
No, of course not.
I don't think I observe my depression and the actions
Mm-mm.
associated. I don't think I observe my mania when I'm in it.
Right. I
I'm
would
right,
agree.
you're wrong, I'm doing this. So if you can find a gentle way or a funny way, I love humor. I deal with humor. I deal with things with humor a lot, bro. You know that to
Mm-hmm.
the
Mm-hmm.
point it annoys you a lot of times.
Mm-hmm. It's
I
true.
can be staring the devil in the face and I'd find a way to make him laugh.
And I'm
But
like, can you just not? Can you just be serious for
right,
just a
right.
minute?
Can you just be serious? But if you find a funny way or a soft way to lead them to their own observations, that's far more powerful than telling them what you're observing.
Yeah. But if you're not able to reach them and they kind of maybe are reachable, then having that serious conversation about your observations is pretty much your only next step before you lose them. So you can start with that soft approach, the funny approach to try to like lead the horse to water. And if that doesn't work, then you're going to have a more serious conversation. So yeah, I totally agree. Totally agree with that. I want
Yeah,
to
you're
ask
you're
you, go ahead.
well, I mean, you're right. So let's look at it like a sinking boat with a hole in, it. at first, well, I don't like that analogy. Let's go with something different. Go ahead and I'll think of what I'm saying. Go ahead.
So what I was going to ask you was from the perspective of either episode, mania or depression, like if you choose to go off of your meds and it's not fully your choice, it's a thought process that essentially you validate your own narrative there. So it's a choice, but that makes sense. You've justified it, right? But you stop the meds and all of a sudden within a couple of days you've moved into an episode. Okay.
Okay.
And I've tried to reach you. I've tried to get you to see what's happening, show you that you need to start taking your meds, and all you continue to do is say, "I'm fine. I don't know what's wrong with you. Like you need to leave me alone. Pay, worry about yourself," or all the things that I've heard in the past. Right? I don't have a problem. What are you talking about? Blah blah blah. Right? What does it take to get you to take action?
So that's tough. There's a wildly different mindset to depression and mania. So let's
Yeah.
break that down into the two separate things. When I'm depressed and you're asking me to do this or that to help myself, the thought is not, I don't need it or any, the thought for me
Mm-hmm.
is, what's the use?
Uh-huh.
Or
Right.
what's the use, even worse and the most dangerous? And folks in the audience, if you do not know this is a thing, please listen up. That what's the use turns into, I don't give a damn. I'm not doing it. I want to hurt. I want to experience this.
Mm-hmm. I don't
And
want it to get better.
that piece right there is what doesn't make sense to so many people because everybody thinks I've got the flu. I want to get over it. I've got strep. I want to get over it. When you get to a full throes, nasty gripping of you depression, you want it to hurt as bad as you can. And you don't want anything to make it better. And the only way I know, and it's weird, and I apologize, guys. I wish I had um, a full fledged photographic and mnemonic memory um, when it came to depression, but truly, depressive episodes and manic episodes are almost like not being used. So I can't
Mm-hmm.
fully tell you what I want out of a depressive episode. But what I
Right.
do know is work is that when Brooke, you have just understood, gently suggested, it's not got to be like this. What's not going to
Mm-hmm.
work is you coming in with my meds and being like, here, you need to take your meds because you're depressed.
Right.
Well, no
Right.
shit, I'm depressed. That's why I don't want to take my meds. So you start, like you were alluding to, Brooke,
Yeah.
you start with a conversation of
Mm-hmm.
what's going on? What are you feeling? Well, life sucks. Yeah, it does suck sometimes,
Mm-hmm.
whatever it is. And you just have to, it's like so many things, babe. It's establishing rapport. You've got to learn your person to establish a dialogue. I know, and folks, here's the difference. Here's why I actually lauded praises on Brooke earlier. This is why she was crying. This is why she's doing this. She was built for it. Because whether I am super manic, okay, and in my wildest days, or whether I'm really depressed, I can say whatever the hell I'm thinking to her, and I know she'll talk to me like a human. She might not be understanding, she might be
Right.
firm, but she will talk to me as a human, not as somebody that needs to get better. She will talk to me like I'm having a real experience.
For you, what does that look like? Being talked to like you're a real human, just for the caregivers and
Yeah, yeah, fair question.
spouses.
So what it doesn't look like is trying to turn the boat around for example, trying not trying to steer the ship. What it also
Okay.
doesn't look like is begging and pleading and communicating all your worries right then. Because I'll be
Yeah.
honest with you, here's the dark secret, especially about mania. When somebody starts telling you you're hurting them, you almost want to hurt them more
Yeah, you're giving them
because
ammo.
you feel powerful when somebody lets you know you're hurting.
Yep.
But you know, if I'm full fledged manic and I'm gonna go burn the city down, and she's like, "All right, well, what kind of lighter are you gonna use?" You know, the city's kind of cold tonight, so maybe it does need a fire. Yeah. Then all of a sudden, you become a negotiator as a caretaker. You become a negotiator without even really negotiating.
Yeah.
You become able to talk to them. And I mean, that's why I've made it through so much because, guys, I can't tell you the nasty times and I can't tell you the crap I've said to Brooke in different episodes. And then on the depressive side, I can't tell you the depths that she's heard me speak from. And she doesn't try to fix me. That is not her goal. Her goal has always been to talk to me and establish a rapport and an understanding. And not in a sappy way either, like, oh babe, I know you're sad. And no, it's more like contextual and tactile. Actually, it's more
Yeah.
tactile. It's like, what are you feeling? Okay, well, that's not gonna work, or it's a more practical conversation.
Yeah.
And
Help me understand this, or
yeah, but it's hard to replicate outside of the moment. So
yeah, it is.
all I know to tell you is establish a rapport. You don't have to try to understand. You don't have to try to fix. Just try to talk. Does that
Hmm.
make sense, Brooke?
Yeah, I mean, I think by nature, I ask questions to understand a lot, no matter who it is I'm talking to. That's I just want to gather information. So gathering information for me can further that rapport, that conversation, helps me connect dots. It helps you feel more open to talking to me because I'm not coming back at you with, and not to say I didn't, because obviously we're many, many years down the road, but there's a learning curve in all of this and learning that, oh, wow, that didn't work. So that's not going to help. Or, coming back and saying, well, you shouldn't feel that way. Like your life is happy. I love you so much. You have great kids. And,
No.
that doesn't work. That doesn't help. It only makes it worse. So it's understanding that we're not going to approach it perfectly, no doubt. Figuring out what does work and then leaning into the things that do work. Because for me, and honestly, in the Facebook group, there haven't been as many individuals who Charlie who have partners that tend to lean more towards the depression side. A lot of them tend to lean more towards the manic side, which is neither here nor there. My point is that Laura and I haven't dove into a lot more of the depression conversations because our feedback and our listeners tend to be asking a lot about mania.
Yeah.
But
Right.
my point for you is, or this conversation would be that like it has taken me asking questions to understand, to know where those big red flags are for you. If I didn't ask those questions, number one, you wouldn't tell me. So I wouldn't know like the level, like how deep and how dark it's gotten for you, right?
Right.
Without having those conversations, those check ins. So, yes, ask the questions, build the rapport. That's super, super, super important and super helpful. Without it, you don't know. You're just kind of flying blind.
Yeah. And I think what people should know, again from my experience, but again from people I've talked to, and they might not have known that's what they were saying to me. I think what gets lost in the weeds, and I can't describe the phenomenon. I don't have the science to back it up, but it's my experience that I have some percentage sharper, more intelligent, quicker in a manic episode or a depressive episode than I am at baseline. So where you're getting to, bro, I need the people in this audience to understand, if they don't understand anything else, your first move cannot be fix it. It can't.
Yeah.
If your first move is fix it, I promise you, the manic person or the depressed person has already seen that and has already rejected it before you ever open your mouth, period.
Yeah, that's a good way
They're
of phrasing
playing a
it.
game of chess at that point, and trying to fix it is like playing Candyland. It comes from a great place, folks, and I'm not berating you all that have tried that. That is the
Right.
human instinct. Something's wrong, let me fix it. The first step is just being able to talk to them. I don't give a damn if it's about baseball, if it's about cooking. Find a way to just talk to the person. That's what Brooke has always done with me. Not always. She had to learn.
Hmm.
I taught her the hard way a lot of times, unfortunately. But what she learned is, if I'm super depressed, she comes in and talks about anything other than the depression.
I'll check
And
in. I'll be like, let me know how you're feeling because I have to have that. I need some sense of security to know that like you're not okay, but okay enough for us to like get through our day.
yeah, my point is you don't jump in and say, "Hey, how do we get past this?" Or "Hey,
Oh,
how do
right.
we
No,
get
no,
you up
no.
out of bed today?" It's more like, "What'd you do today?" Knowing my answer is nothing, she's still talking to me like I'm human. I have a friend of
Yeah.
mine. He's going through a lot of stuff right now and super depressed. He's bipolar schizophrenic. I'll give you a good example of this. He's told me for like 3 weeks. It started 3 weeks ago on a Sunday. He was like, "Tomorrow I'm going to go apply for a couple of jobs. I want to do this and maybe move out of my parents' house." Okay.
Excuse me. Yeah.
I knew, much like Brooke as a spouse, you would know me. I knew he wasn't going to go apply for those jobs. I knew that was a grandiose idea. He wasn't ready for it. So what did
Hmm.
I do? I waited till that was a Monday that he was going to do that. I waited till Tuesday. He reached out to me and was like, "Hey, good morning. I just need something." I was like, "Hey, man, like, where all did you decide to apply?" I didn't say, "Did you apply?" I didn't say, "Were you able to apply?" I just kept going with his story that that's what happened. He's like, "Well, I did
Yeah.
today." And so anyway, blah, blah, blah. I've checked in a few times that way of sneaking it in. Like, he said something the other day about not being happy with this or that. And I was like, well, I was like, at least you got your job applications in. So that's going to get better. And then that forces him to speak through what he's not doing
Hmm.
without me telling him, "Hey, you're not doing this. We need to get you to do this."
Right.
Does that make sense?
Yep. Oh yeah.
It,
Yep. Yeah,
I
you're
mean, it's like,
addressing the topic
I
without
remember
addressing
one
the
time.
topic.
Oh, sorry, baby. Go ahead.
I just said you're addressing the topic without directly addressing the topic.
Yeah, you're more
You're
bringing the topic up and letting them guide the conversation.
yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but I mean, similarly, I remember not too long ago, it was maybe a year, maybe a little more. I can't recall. Could have been less. Who knows? I'd been like 8 days without a shower, and it had been a while since I had done something like that.
Yeah.
And you came in the room, and I was like, "I think I might take a shower." Like, "Well, that'd be good." And you didn't say you should, or you didn't say, "Yeah, it's been a while." It was like, "That'd be good." And I was laying around, and you were like, "I kind of need a shower." I was like, "You do?" You're like, "Yeah, I kind of need a shower." I was like, "Okay." She's like, "But I'm not going to take one until you do, or unless you do." Well, I mean, the reason she did that was because she knew I'll do anything for her, no matter how I feel. So Brooke basically doesn't make a fuss of it, doesn't tell me what I need to do, doesn't tell me that I should be showering more, doesn't tell me that I don't shower like I used to. She just simply says, "I'm not going to take a shower till you do, and I really need a shower." So I wanted her to have a shower So I took a shower. So that's kind of that in play.
Yeah.
And then she played Casey and the Sunshine Band, Celebrate Good Times. I think it's Casey and the Sunshine Band. Celebrate Good Times when I got out of the show.
Sure did. Celebrate the wins, baby. Celebrate the wins.
So yeah, so that's the really long-winded way of saying find an indirect way to let them talk about their thoughts on the experience or let them come to a conclusion of what their actions need to be. You do not need to tell them, nor do you want to tell them what they should be doing, what they used to be like, how this is different now. Your job is to find gentle ways to inconspicuously show them something's different. I am happy to
Yeah.
report my friend, after this 3 week long experiment, has actually applied to a couple jobs in the temp service.
Love that. Love that. Cool. Yes. Okay. Well, I think we've covered a lot today. I'm exhausted, just for the record. That's why I've been yawning if you're watching. Sorry.
I'm hungry again. I'm ready. I'm ready for second dinner.
Round 2 dinner. Okay.
I'm not kidding you. I might be going to
I
get a
know, you told
burger.
me
I
earlier.
might be going to get a burger after this. I'm starving.
Well, do you want to leave the listeners with any final thoughts or comments?
Yeah, just to tie a bow around it, because we did cover a broad spectrum. We started out on medicine and kind of got away from that. But your folks know whether or not medicine is working. So, have a frank discussion if they feel like the medicine's really working or if it's just okay. And
Kind
if
of
it's just
working, yeah.
okay, I encourage you to work with the psychiatrist to try to make okay wow. And maybe you don't get to wow, but what if you got from okay to good? And then secondly, I can't stress this enough, and I feel like I've not done a great job of articulating it, but be indirect with your approaches with both a manic person and a depressive person. Lead them to their own conclusions. Give small segues that might even seemingly be unrelated for them to speak their mind.
Yeah, but also don't be afraid to have a direct conversation if it's getting scary. And scary can look different for mania and depression.
That's a great point. I mean, at some point, yeah, you got to pull all stops and call a spade.
Yeah.
I think tonight, or at least it was my impression, we're talking about more of the early stages of
Yeah.
when you stop taking your medicine and you start creeping in that episode.
Yes.
But yeah, when you see the warning signs, then hell yeah, I mean, all bets are off.
All bets are off, yes.
Oh,
Awesome.
George.
Look at that, Charlie. Hi, Charlie.
Charlie.
Hi, buddy. All right, everybody. Well, that was yet another great conversation with my man. Thank you for popping on and having this conversation with me, for making me cry, of course.
Thank you for having me. Hopefully I didn't bowl it. I know sometimes I steamroll conversations. I hope I didn't.
No, I think it was a very good conversation. You always do. You're hard on yourself. But yeah, as always, you can find me on TikTok at break_the stigma. Laura is the BP spouse. She'll be back with our next episode. You can watch us on YouTube at BipolarLines Pod. You can find us in the Facebook group, BipolarLines Pod as well. It's a private group. You can post anonymously. Great conversation, great interaction there for sure. We post episodes every other week on Wednesdays. You can listen across any podcast platform that you find, pretty much. And if you feel so inclined to give us a 5-star rating, we would greatly appreciate it. It's just a free way to help us out, pushing us further up on the algorithm on all the platforms. If you want to leave us a kind review, go for it. If you don't, DM us and tell us how much you hate us. That's fine. Works for me.
Are you not?
Right.
Are you not going to let me plug myself and where to find me?
Yeah, where can they find you, babe?
Facegram at bipolar dude, 97,000. And
Perfect.
on Pick Etsy talk, uh, buy my stuff 2024. And then
Perfect.
you can also find me on MySpace at
Oh God.
Gin Blossom Span 1997.
Perfect.
So those are just a few of the places you can find me.
Okay. Good luck finding him at none of
Yep.
those places.
Yep. Mostly
All right,
Facegram though.
that's a great one. That's my favorite app, actually.
Yeah.
Favorite one. All right, everybody. Thank you so much for being here, for showing up for your person, and we'll see you next time.